Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for forcing my husband to pay for my daughter's piano after he damaged it? My husband and I have been together for 2.5 years. I have a daughter, Callie. She's 13. She loves instrumental music and piano has been her #1 interest. I'm not saying this because she's my daughter, but really, I see her talent as special, and more importantly, she uses it to express her feelings, especially for her deceased father who passed away when she was 7. She always says that she, in a way, connects to him through playing piano. So I encouraged her to do more, and her grandparents bought her a 6,000 piano that she was so thrilled with. The whole family encourages her, but my husband thinks she's being distracted from school, real future, etc. He doesn't attend her plays, doesn't help with the academy, doesn't even take the time to listen to her playing, and every time he comes home and hears her playing upstairs, he'd lecture us about how this activity is just a waste of time. I sat him down and told him about Callie picking up on that bad vibe. He got mad and said that he was doing my job for me and ensuring she doesn't get distracted from school, although her grades are good. We went back and forth on this, and I made it clear that this should stop. He said okay, and that was the end of it. On Sunday, a huge argument ensued in the house because my husband claimed Callie woke him up on his day off with her loud playing. He issued an ultimatum. Either the piano goes, or he gets rid of it himself. I asked where should I take it? He said Callie's grandparents' house, but Callie didn't want to. After we left, I found out that my husband took it to the junkyard his dad works at and cut it into pieces. A big argument ensued, and we literally had a screaming match in front of his family over this. I gave him 2 days to pay for a new one, despite him apologizing and saying he acted in a moment of desperation and frustration. He said the only way he could pay for it is using his savings that were supposed to go towards his new garage as a side business. He complained about me forcing him to pay and ruining his business before it even starts. He kept sending his family as middlemen to get me to give him at least 4 months, but I refused and stood my ground despite being called unreasonable, since it's a piano vs new business. Am I the antagonist for forcing him to pay and not giving him time? Edit no. He didn't have an issue with whatever Callie was doing at first till we started living together. At first I thought that as a family we tend to get annoyed by stuff other family members do, but apparently this is not the case. By the way, tonight or tomorrow morning is the timeline I've given him, and so far I haven't heard from him or his dad. Now let's see what a member of our team thinks. I doubt I could prevent a physical altercation if someone treated my kids in this manner, and a $6,000 charge would be the least of their worries. He doesn't seem like a decent father, husband, or role model for your daughter. You also merit better. Comment by Shannon. Now for the top comments. NTA. The cost of the piano should be the least of his worries. Get him to pay for a new one, but then kick his ass to the curb and start divorce proceedings. He's obviously way too toxic to be allowed around your daughter. You need to leave this relationship. Sue his ass for the cost of the piano and divorce him for being a complete asshole. Make him pay and reevaluate your marriage. I'm sorry, he doesn't seem a good husband, nor a good father/male model figure for your daughter. Clearly just not a good person and vibe to have close to your daughter, and you deserve better. NTA. Am I the antagonist for changing the locks and refusing to give my husband a spare key? I bought my house 8 years ago from my dad and met my husband 5 years ago. Long story short, he moves in, we get married, yada yada. Even shorter mix of events. He gave his mom a key without my knowledge. I only find out when I get home one day and find her sitting on my couch. I take the key and tell her not to show up at my house unannounced, and she says she told my husband. I tell my husband his mother is not to be in my home without someone else here. He says okay. I thought it was handled, but 2 weeks ago I get out of the shower in my birthday suit and find her standing in my kitchen. She freaks out and says she is appalled that I'm walking around in the nude, and said, what if your husband brings home company? I flip the fuck out and ask how she got in. Apparently my husband made a copy of the key so she could swing by and grab his documents that needed to be signed by her father while he was away on a business trip. So basically she was rummaging through my shit when I was in the shower because she has no clue where anything is. I tell her to leave and she wasn't welcome back here. After she berated me for my repulsive behavior and lack of modesty, I go and get new locks and change them out myself. Husband comes home 3 days later and can't get inside. I tell him I've changed the locks since obviously he can't resist giving a copy to his intrusive mother. He asks for a copy. I say absolutely not because I no longer trust him and I'm tired of having this woman show up and go through my shit. He argues he won't be able to get inside unless I'm home and I tell him it's no longer my problem. He can wait until I get home or he can go stay at mommy's house. He says I'm an R because it's his house too. He is not on the deed as this is my family home bought long before him and I refuse to lose this. If we ever divorce hot seems inevitable at this point and said I'm being over dramatic because it only happened twice. I said twice too many and still refused. My friends think I'm a dick too, so I'm coming here for judgment. Am I the antagonist? AITA, just so we are clear. He was NC with his mother up until last year, so I had just met her recently and we have never gotten along because I refused to let her push my boundaries. Now let's see what a member of our team thinks. He also violated your boundaries. Your spouse might have handed the key to one of his pals just as easily. He is currently blatantly unreliable. Before your marriage fully disintegrates, you might wish to attend couples counseling. Comment by Taylor. Now for the top comments. Only 2 times my ass. Only 2 times that you'll know about. I say install an alarm system and a ring camera. Then give him a key. If you see her show up and enter unannounced, set the alarm off. I'm here to vote for the ring camera with a lock you can open remotely. How does one go from no contact to handing out house keys to a house you're not on the title for without the homie owners and his own spouse? SMH. Knowledge in the span of a year. Something fishy here. Yes. Yes. Extremely suspicious. Why not call up? Why just give your mom a key so she can come in at any time she wants? Why is she going through things while she is there? Find it so strange and extremely suspicious that he gives her a copy of the key at all. What for? What reason did mother-in-law give that was so convincing for him to betray his wife's trust like that? Am I the antagonist for making my son eat off dirty dishes? This happened 2 months ago, but has still furious over it. I'm 45F. I love my oldest son, but has 17 and acts like it. Our family rotates chores, cooking, dishes, cleaning common areas are all done by each family member on different days. My son hates chores and always tries to half-ass it to get out of doing it. It's been a constant battle. Dishes are the worst. He overpacks the dishwasher, so the dish detergent can't even get on the dishes. It just catches on whatever pan he shoved in front. He also doesn't rinse the dishes at all, so they come out dirty and caked in food. If we want to eat the day after he does dishes, we end up having to hand wash them. He doesn't care. Any attempt to talk to him is met with a little smirk and he would say, but the dishwasher sanitized it. He knows exactly what he's doing. The day after his night to do dishes, I went to cook dinner. All the dishes were in the washer still. Filthy. I had worked all day. I was exhausted. I honestly teared up seeing this bullshit. I didn't have the energy to make dinner, let alone do an entire load of dishes first. I quietly called hubby in, and he offered to hand wash the dishes I needed. Light bulb moment. I told him, yes please, but only enough dishes for preparing the food and serving everyone but 17-yo. I made dinner and called kiddos to eat. 17-yo sat down and saw his setting was empty. He asked where his plate, AMD silverware and water cup was. I pointed to the dishwasher and said, tonight you'll be eating off of the dishes you did. Go pick them out. He went pale and started protesting that it was gross. I quickly cut him off and reminded him that the dishwasher sanitized them. Hubby backed me up. If he wants to eat tonight, he will eat off his dishes. He huffed and said he'd wash some, and I said nope. You had your chance to get them clean last night. Eat off them as they are, or don't eat tonight. He yelled and said that he'd make his own food, which I said no. Eventually, he relented and found the least disgusting dishes and ate his dinner quietly. I felt bad, he looked so sick and grossed out, but I was sick of him wasting time and water and detergent. And it worked. His dishes came out spotless after, not a speck. But like I said, he's still furious, and I do feel bad now that it's over and done with. I'm just sick of the weaponized incompetence. He doesn't realize that his laziness fucks over everyone else in the house. Am I the antagonist? Now let's see what a member of our team thinks. He almost has the legal age to vote, but yet behaves like a child. He cannot act like an abhorrent, slothful slob and expect to be treated with respect. It's better for him if the repercussions of his behavior hit him where it hurts most, his family and close friends, while he's still young. Comment by Jordan. Now for the top comments. NTA. You probably should have done this long ago. If he doesn't experience consequences, he's not going to grow up and be less selfish. And he is at an age where this is not going to be typical or understandable behavior very soon. Agreed. The fact that Op and her husband have gotten in the habit of cleaning the dishes after their son failed to clean them properly means he was never learning his lesson. What he actually learned is that even when I do something wrong, my parents will have to fix my mistake because they have to eat as well. What Op did was brilliant, because he's 17 and it's time to learn how to do things correctly. The fact that he somehow figured out how to do dishes correctly overnight shows he knows how to do them, but was being purposefully obtuse about it. Good job, Op. NTA. But as one mom to another, quit enabling him. If he doesn't do it right, you make his ass come back to do it again. It gets done right, or he's got to do it over and over and over. My kids learned real quick to just do it right the first time. And I'm not super strict about it, but I will call them out if I start to see laziness. What kills me is he doesn't even have to wash the dishes. Just rinse them and place them in the dishwasher. I wash mine by hand, so I don't know how long his part takes, but I'm thinking not very long. Am I the antagonist for filing a complaint about a hospital worker trying to touch my baby? Yesterday I had a doctor's appointment that I had to bring my 7-month-old son with. Appointment went fine, but afterwards I had to head downstairs to the lab to get some blood drawn. While I'm waiting in line to check in, another woman walks up to me and starts asking about my son. Boy or girl? How old is he? Meanwhile he is in his stroller sleeping with a blanket over the whole front so it's darker and gives off the chill sleep vibes inside the stroller. This woman proceeded to lift up the blanket to peek inside at my son. Immediately responded with, in a slightly annoyed tone, "He's sleeping right now. He's been having a rough time with naps during the day, so he was very cranky earlier." Which is mom code for "Don't wake up my baby. Don't touch my baby." Right after I told this lady that he was sleeping, she looked up at me and said, "Oh okay" really fast in a hushed tone. Then continued to try to stick her hand further in the stroller under the blanket, like she was just gonna be quiet now instead of taking the hint. So at that point I was mad and snapped, "Don't touch my baby, I don't know you, and I already said he is sleeping." She had the nerve to tell me it was okay because she worked there at the hospital. That just made me even more mad. So I asked her, "So then are you here to draw my blood too, since you work here and you can do everything?" She then said how rude that was and how she just wanted to congratulate me on my baby. She told me that it was a shame motherhood didn't turn me into a sweet person who wanted to show off and brag about my baby like it does for everyone else. As she walked away, the counter opened up for me to check in, and I asked to file a complaint about her being so rude and trying to touch my baby. The woman at the counter said I could and would give me the info I needed for that, but then asked if I was sure I wanted to complain, because lots of people like touching babies here. Usually the mom isn't upset about it. I was literally flabbergasted that she would say that to me, so I turned around and left the whole goddamn hospital because I could feel a nuclear breakdown coming. I called the hospital later and explained what happened and that I needed to reschedule. The woman on the phone apologized on behalf of the hospital and said she would file the complaint for me. Now that I've simmered down, I do sort of feel a bit Karen-ish because I've never filed a complaint about anyone before. But I'm still so mad about the way they talk to me at the clinic. Now let's see what a member of our team thinks. You made it clear to her that the baby is asleep and that you wish to maintain that situation. She also said something extremely foolish and unpleasant. Not every parent wants to parade their newborn around to everyone they come into contact with. Can we heed the no saying of women? Comment by Jordan. Now for the top comments. NTA. You told her not to touch your child and she continued to. You were right to file a complaint. I don't think people would hesitate to file a complaint if she just kept going around touching adults when they told her not to. That's what she was doing. But to someone who couldn't stand up for themselves because they were a baby, she would most likely kept doing it, trying to use her position at the hospital to justify it. NTA. Pandemic or not, you don't touch someone's kid. You never ever touch someone else's kid, baby, or whatever without the parent's explicit permission. You were the patient, not the baby. So she had no reason to be trying to lift the blanket or touch the baby at all. You were right to complain. Also with FTMs, they may be too nervous or afraid to complain, and that's why it's so normal for anyone to touch the babies, because they feel they can't say stop and fuck off because it's a doctor's office. You did the right thing. Am I the antagonist for refusing to stop saying no around my friend? Let's call my friend S. Me, S and our other friend were in a park eating Subway about 2-3 months ago. We were having just a normal conversation until S starts to talk about deep stuff. Basically anywhere you go with her, she will start talking about something angsty, then starts crying. So in this park, S says, guys, can you stop saying no or disagreeing with me? I don't really like those words. Me and my other friend just looked at each other for a second. My friend said yeah sure, and I just nodded my head silently. Now, every time I have to say no for a hangout, or say that I disagree on a bad idea, she starts bawling her eyes out, or makes a huge scene in a public space. Am I the asshole? Now let's see what a member of our team thinks. S needs to deal with the problems. She can't just demand that everything bend to her will if she doesn't like a circumstance or a negative response. You'll have to give up your independence, feeling of self-worth, and personality if you want to continue being friends with her. Comment by Charlie. Now for the top comments. NTA. This is either emotional blackmail, or she needs professional help which a 13-year-old cannot hope to provide. Talk to your school counselor if she needs help and you are concerned about her. NTA. That's one of the most bizarre requests I've heard of. Even if those words are somehow triggering for her, you can say no and disagree with things. Are you supposed to just always agree with her no matter what? That's completely unreasonable. Lol. Instead of the word no, I would just start saying that I decline to do something. Starting with I decline to hang out with you. If asked why, say it's difficult to communicate and you aren't comfortable speaking your mind with them, so unfortunately you need to part ways. Also, since you're a minor, let an adult know about their concerning behavior, but it's not your job to fix it. Am I the antagonist for not putting my boyfriend's name on my house? I really thought this was normal, but so many people are telling me I'm a bitch for not doing so that it's starting to mess with my head. TBH. I recently received a house. My grandmother passed away and left her 2 houses to my sister and I. We sat down and between the two of us decided that she should have the bigger house as she is married and has 2 kids and another on the way, while I would move into the smaller 2-bedroom house. My sister's husband has been added to the title of her house as he helped her pay the tax on it. I was able to pay the tax on mine by myself as it was cheaper due to being smaller. Because my boyfriend, 3 years, didn't contribute financially towards it, I didn't think to put him on the title. We had a housewarming party last weekend and his parents came up to me towards the end of the night and were going on about how lucky BF and I were to be able to live somewhere like this rent-free, and it gives us such a head start in life, and they were very appreciative that I'd given half the house to my BF. I corrected them that I hadn't, and he wasn't on the title, but was welcome to live with me and not pay rent, so that he had more money to put towards his studies. We are both master's students. They immediately became very judgmental, saying that I was being unfair not putting his name on the title, and that clearly I didn't expect the relationship to last. I didn't trust him, etc. I say they were being unfair and he wasn't entitled to half of my family's house, and then walked away. Now numerous members of his family have messaged me and him saying I'm a bitch and I don't trust him, and tell him to watch out because clearly I don't love him, etc. Am I the antagonist here? I've gotten a bunch of messages asked what my BF thinks, so I put my response here. I brought it up with him on Monday, and he said that he feels like it's a sign I don't trust him. I said that I wouldn't add a man to the title unless we were married and he was paying for half of the rates and stuff. He said that he feels like I'm blackmailing him into getting married. I said I wasn't. I just wouldn't want to make a huge commitment like giving him half my house without some commitment from him, and he said to just drop it because we're never going to agree, so let's just leave it so we don't argue. Now let's see what a member of our team thinks. Huge warning signs: you are not wed. It is your grandmother's house. Even if you got married, it is up to you to choose whether or not to add him to the title. Whatever his family wants to say, they can. Neither is it their home. Comment by Corey. Now for the top comments. NTA. Key phrase here. Numerous members of his family have messaged me. Your boyfriend did not contribute to the house, and it is your inheritance. He should be happy that he doesn't have to pay rent. The vast majority of the adult world still has to make payments in the form of rent or a mortgage while he gets a gravy train. If he's not happy with the very generous offer you've given him, kick him out. He will add to the wear and tear of the home that is your responsibility to upkeep. Block his family. NTA. Exactly about his mother-in-law. Why asking? Of course they'd be stupid if they didn't try to milk this in favor of their family member. Notice it's not your family opus. You're not married to him. Even if you were, he should be able to respect whether you add him or not, as it's an inheritance. Please do yourself a favor and do not, under any circumstances, add this dude to the house, married or not. Or if you get married, at least don't add him initially. Don't get into a state where you're the one who has one half a house to lose should he decide all of a sudden he wants to be married and then run. Please don't do this to yourself. Considering finances are a big deal and a big source of potential arguments here, please sit down as adults and talk through what finances will mean once he moves in rent-free, who pays bills, etc. Last thank you'd want is him breaking stuff and having you pay BC. It's your home, and he shouldn't have to help pay taxes and other maintain key things for a home he doesn't own. I'm fact. Please talk this out as soon as possible. Set clear boundaries on who will be responsible for what. Make a fair, since you're already pretty much covering rent. Will he buy the food? Pay for bills? etc. Don't let this blessing from your grandpa break you up. But if this needs to happen, better it be now before your finances are entangled. Edit. Sorry, 3 tons of typos. On phone. NTA. And your boyfriend's family are really overstepping here. This is none of their business and it's very crass that they feel entitled to comment. He didn't contribute at all. He isn't your spouse. You aren't obligated to add his name to the title.